What did you end up doing with those? That was a what, 6.5 inch?
Yeah, I still got it.
Where you rocking
I
that?
got. Yeah, I just play around with it. I plan on doing a lot more 6.5s as well. I like a lot of bass out of small speakers. That kind of intrigues me. So when I'm making a video, first thing I think is how does this interest me? What am I going to do to excite myself, and then try to turn it into a video after that.
Yeah. K so KB says I bought the dinos. I thought it was a great project and idea, man. Cool, man. I want to see how those turned out. Show me on Instagram. Um, what else we got here? He loves his Savards. So what's up? What do you think about smaller woofers that obviously they have to have more excursion in order to kind of compete? What's the difference between that versus, let's say, a larger cone, larger surface area, but maybe something without as much excursion? Like, what are the trade-offs there?
Usually, usually box size from what we've seen, because I recently showed a video with a 32-inch subwoofer. It was a Clarion subwoofer from, when was it? 2000, Rob? 2002?
Yeah, 2000.
2000. Clarion made a car audio specific. It was not a pro audio driver. It was actually a car audio specific driver, 32 inches. Showed the video. People were like, oh, that thing's not moving at all. It's not doing much.
Yeah.
With 200 watts, Joe, it was shaking the car almost to pieces. So what people don't realize is a bigger driver doesn't have to move as much to you move a lot of air. But going back to what we talked about, what Rob mentioned before, the 6.5s in the car audio industry, the new 6.5-inch subs are so beefy and it can handle so much power now that most people that back in the day, when I say back in the day, in the 80s and 90s, that used to need 12s and stuff, now you can get by with a couple of 6.5s and get plenty of bass.
That's crazy.
It's actually, it's really impressive because you don't have to take up your whole trunk either.
That's amazing. You can just set them up horizontally, right? Boom.
Just make an array of them. As much as I like these small drivers and I'm fascinated with them, I will say that if you have the space, always go with the larger driver up to a point. Now, 18s, 15s, maybe you're going a little too much, but 10s and 12s for sure. You want to go with the larger driver. They're more efficient typically, unless you're getting something with a really heavy motor structure. But space makes space. So you can overpower a small driver and kind of make up the difference. But why do that if you don't have to?
Yeah, so it's funny because I was told you guys that I used to rock 3 10W6s. Now, I know that's nothing crazy, but it was good. 30, what is that? 30 inches of surface area equal to what? 215s, right? And so, you kind of get where I'm going with that. But I always remember thinking back in the day, now I don't know how accurate this was, but I remember thinking like that 15s, like some of the bigger ones, seemed sloppy to me. Like in my mind, I don't know if it was actually a thing, but it seemed like, 310s are tighter. You know what I mean? Like they're going to be more accurate or something. I don't know how true that is.
Go ahead, Derek.
I've heard some really accurate 18. So, I think it depends a lot on the box, the design, how the vehicle is set up. I got a demo a couple years ago with some Vega Stroker 18s, and wow, talking about control, dynamics, everything is incredible. And those are really known as SPL drivers, designed for just really sound pressure output at higher frequencies, but they do low frequencies as well. But I'm sure Rob has got an idea too, a better suggestion.
No, it's definitely dependent on the enclosure that you build. I think we got that in car audio, especially because people in car audio, if you're putting a 15 or 18 in, you're doing it to be loud. So your box is geared towards that loud style. 10s, you're a lot of times you're a little bit more moderate with that. So I think that is a bit of a misconception with most things, but there's always a little truth behind every misconception.
Yeah, I just imagine like a big floppy like paper woofer. You know what I mean?
10s have always been, I think, the most popular size in car audio, just because they are so flexible, right? They can do the hard hitting rock type bass, the real tight kick drum bass, and they can also do some of the lower synthesized bass as well. But yeah, nowadays, I mean, I use a 10W7 in my car, which is a JL Audio 10-inch sub. It's in a like 1.75 cubic foot, tuned to 34 hertz, and
Yeah.
it's pretty impressive for what it is, for only like 500 watts going to it. So it depends on what you want, right? I want some trunk space. I don't have to have my whole car rattling apart like some people want, but it's plenty of bass for me.